This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So tell me how the first time Nick comes down to Toledo in the longest time, we're standing on the bench for practice, and Hawk decides to hit me with a puck, not him. Like, come on.
I know, right? And he gave him a hug before he said hi to either one of us.
I mean, that's just because he was making sure he wasn't seeing a ghost.
That's fair. He had to confirm that he was physically there, and he wasn't seeing things.
That was a fantastic moment right there. Just the look on his face, like, oh, he's here.
Walks out in shin pads, socks, and skates.
Oh, what a good time. It was a good time down in T-Town. Well, welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Travis.
And Nick is not with us tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather. He partied too hard in Toledo. Yeah, right. He was the driver. We partied too hard in Toledo after the game. Oh, my God. Sunday was brutal, man. Brutal. That 4 a.m. arrival time back in Grand Rapids was killer. But so worth it.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Oh, dude, it was long, but so worth it. Well, we got down to the rink at 10 a.m., got to take in practice with the team, got to sit down and interview Jalen Schmerick, which we'll have that interview coming for you guys soon once I get the time to edit it. It's going to need some touch up because there was 2 practices that happened in the background in the rink, which made a lot of noise. I didn't realize there was going to be 2 different teams other than Toledo practicing that day, with Iowa skating after Kalamazoo. So there was some added noise in there. So we'll get that edited out shortly. But we did all that, hung out in Toledo, watched the Red Wings game, and then went to the game that night. And oh, what a blast. What a podcast bump for the guy we interviewed as well. We'll get to that when we get to the game recap here. But I just can't thank the Walleye enough for letting us do what we do when we go down there, and just how much they appreciate us for what we do, which we feel like we do nothing. This is for you. I know for you especially, Trav, like this is your hometown team. It's a fan experience for you every time, but for them to appreciate what we do to bring light to the team and introduce people to this fantastic team that might not even know they exist. Like, I never thought about it that way, but then when Pat and them put it in that perspective, I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, that appreciation right there just made me feel really good.
Yeah, you really hear, how much they enjoy it and embrace it and are so open to being a part of this ride with us and letting us have this thing. I mean, we got to say thank you to Jordan. I mean, that was a crazy week. We didn't even know who we were talking to or what the whole plan was until Friday. So credit to him. I mean, he pulled a lot of strings from the sounds of it in a day and a half. So big credit to him.
Jordan Streck gets so many thank yous from me, man. Like, he went above and beyond to make sure we had somebody to talk to make the trip even more worth our while coming down from Grand Rapids in such a short period of time. And even a quick little bonus interview too right before the game, which was awesome for him to do that. That was unexpected, and sorry to throw the curveball at him last second there. So we appreciate him, but just appreciate the whole organization overall. They're so welcoming, so fun, and just the experiences we have there are so different from the American League because there's so much red tape to go through with the NHL being involved. When you get down to the ECHL level, it's so much more relaxed, so much more fun. And I mean, God, if you go to our social media page, there's a fun video from Brandon Hawkins right after their game Saturday that I couldn't imagine getting that clip in the American League. No way. No way someone's back there screwing around like that.
Well, I didn't
it's
know.
So good.
The funniest part is I didn't know what was going on because I was interviewing Louie and I turn around and you're like, hey, watch this video. And I watch it and I'm like, are you kidding me? That just
I'm
happened?
On the floor. Me and the admin are on the floor laughing.
Oh,
hysterically. To reference the video, Hawk took his dad's scooter and was riding it back and forth down the hallway after post game. It was great.
It's always something with him. I always say these antics, and that's really kind of what it is. And you can tell he loves it and just loves being around it and has so much fun with it. I mean, it didn't make the one post-game post, but when I was talking to Cruz, he runs through the screen and then he's got the stick and There was a couple of the scooter now, and there was one other one. Oh, with Jan popping
Oh,
in behind him. I mean, it's just like we're doing it live when we interviewed in person. That was funny. Some of the stuff obviously doesn't make all the show, but it's just fun memories. But yeah, he's just an amazing person, an incredible character, and only him. I was waiting for him to just yeet a banana peel like Mario Kart, but no, it's a unbelievable experience to see all that firsthand.
oh yeah. So thank you again to the Walleye. But that's enough gushing about our experience down there. Sorry, we had to make sure we give recognition to the Walleye where recognition is due. Let's jump into some news and updates when it comes to everything with the team right now. And Travis, I'll pass it to you for the first one here.
Yeah, it's tough. Tyler Spezia leaves Saturday's game with a upper body injury. Per Mark Monroe of the Blade, you're looking at about a 6 to 10 week recovery period. No surgery, according to the article, so that's probably the best news possible. And I mean, just a huge loss. Pat even said it post game, like, you can't really replace a guy like that. But one thing I kind of want to allude to, and I was talking to a couple friends about it, if you look at the roster as a whole, they can handle this until they get Spezia back. Because if you look at their top 6 this year versus last year, they're very similar. Like, especially when you've seen Sunday's lineup, like Louis, Bliss, and Hawk on your first line. That's your first line from last year. And then it was a variation of Keenan, Bantle with Craigs and Cruz. That's 2/3 of your second line from last year. So it does suck. You hope that it's the 6, but at the same time, you don't want him to rush back and not be 100% ready and then re-injure it. Because you got to realize, too, that if it's 6 weeks, you got about 2 weeks left of the regular season. If it's 8 weeks, you got probably right at the first night of the playoffs. And if it's anything more than that, you're into potentially the second round. We wish him the best. You put a pretty good piece together, I know, the other day. But ultimately, just, prayers for him, for a speedy recovery. He's an incredible person, incredible human, incredible hockey player. And we're just going to hope that he's back in time for the playoffs ultimately. I mean, even with seeing 10 weeks, he's going to be on the playoff roster.
Oh yeah, 100%. And here's what I will say: we were able to at least see him quickly post game, and as frustrating as it is for him, like he was frustrated, right? Any player that gets injured is going to be frustrated. He was in good spirits about everything. We still got a laugh out of him too. When we asked him in his first game back, is he going to pull somebody off the bench and try to fight him like he did in Grand Rapids last year? After 3 games after leaving on a stretcher, comes out and pulls Wyatt Kaiser off the bench in Rockford, and that got him a laugh too. Or I got a laugh out of him. So he was in good spirits, and he made sure he went down the tunnel at the end of the game to fist bump the guys, which was nice. I think it was just reassuring to his teammates that he was all right and he'll get through this and come back stronger. That's what he does when he gets injured. He comes back better, and that should terrify the rest of the ECHL if he comes back any stronger than he already is. So, like you said, wish him speedy recovery. Hate it for the person because he's just such a nice guy and been such a great friend of the show. But, he'll be back and the team will be fine. Some guys will step up. It's that next man up mentality on this roster. And, we saw it. We've seen it time and time again with this team. Like, the guys will step up and do their thing. So I'm not worried based on this one injury. Yes, it sucks, but I'm not concerned. They'll be fine. So that's all we have on that one.
Yeah, and, just a couple other things. I mean, Chaz is still out and Gabriel's still with Cleveland. And then, Pat made a great point when he was talking to Mark, and he brought up the college free agents. Like, there's going to be some players that are available. So do they maybe dip their toes into that to bring in a body, potentially make a push for the playoff roster? Look what they did last year. They brought in 2 guys and they were on the playoff roster. So you never know what you can find at this point in the year. Obviously, we're getting close for time. I think there's only 18 games left. So,
yeah.
The end of the season's quickly approaching. And, like you said, there's chances for other people to step up in the absence of a big player out. And hopefully come playoffs, we got a pretty healthy team, get some guys back, and be ready to roll.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And Cleveland, please give us Gabriel back. I think I ask every single week, and they don't listen, but I'm sure they don't listen to the show because we talk a lot of trash on the Griffins side about the Cleveland Monsters. So moving on. Any other news and updates that we have to share with the folks?
There is one more piece. Adrian Beraldo is back. He signed a contract, immediately went to the 14-day IR. Obviously, you're probably right around a year ago. He got hurt in a game when he was with the Walleye last season. I think the goal would probably be just to get him his eligibility for the playoffs and see where they want to go from there. So I did get to see him. I asked him how he's doing. He said he's doing pretty good. So we'll see when he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, that's a nice little addition there that has good experience with a lot of this roster already, and a nice little piece to have, especially for the playoffs. But yeah, that's a nice piece to have ready for the playoffs there. That is exciting, and hopefully he comes back just how he was right before he got hurt last year, and hopefully we can fit right into the lineup and just help boost this team even more. But that is all the news and updates that we've got on the list for you guys this week. Let's jump into the games. We have 3 games that we're going to talk about. There was 4 games since we last recorded, but one of them feels like it's so long ago at this point. We're just going to tell you, they lost. They went to Cincinnati on that Wednesday there. They lost. That was unfortunate. It was kind of an ugly game for the Walleye. Yeah, moving on. We'll go to Friday's game at home. The Kalamazoo Wings come to town, and this one was a tight game. So, Travis, kind of walk me through what happened in this one here.
Well, I thought they controlled the game for most of it, but other people thought differently. I mean, you take the lead into the third period, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. All of a sudden, now you're down 2, or you're down a goal, or 2 goals, and you get one back late, and they just couldn't recover, right? And you give up the 3, and it was tough. I was like, you were feeling like they were going to win this game, and then it just kind of slipped away from them. And it was like once the first one went, it was kind of a minor snowball effect. But great shot by Craggs right in the beginning of the game, and it kind of felt like, okay, like we're off to a good start. And then from there, it just felt like there were times they just couldn't generate a lot. And Keenan gets a goal. Good to see him get on the score sheet. They kind of need him to get going. He's one of the guys that I feel like if they can find their touch, they'll just be even further off into the better side of the standings and where they are now. And good to see him get on the board. But, it's tough. They did wear the Hockey Heritage jerseys. Different kit, though. A little different.
They went with what we hoped they went with.
Yeah.
Originally.
With the navy gloves, navy helmet, navy pants. So I thought now that setup was way better than the first one.
Yeah, that sold me on picking up the jersey when I saw it in the shop on Saturday, unfortunately. Like, I kind of wanted it already just because the jersey itself is really clean. But then I saw the whole kit together. I'm like, dang, that looks good.
I did like it a lot better in this game than I did the first one. The only thing that sucked is I wished Kalamazoo would have had a second set.
So you could see the full matchup again.
Yeah, that would have been
But
nice.
I mean, Kalamazoo was wearing their dark blues, so it was kind of close enough to it, but
enough.
it would have been a nice It was still a good color contrast.
It was, well, yeah. I mean, if you don't count cream as white.
Sure, I don't.
Vintage white, but
sure.
The only other thing with this one really is the churn in the butter, Brandon Hawkins bobblehead night. Lines were crazy. I read on Facebook midnight the night before, so
God.
for a line would have been Saturday at midnight, or Thursday night at midnight. My apologies. That if that's actually true, that's just crazy, right? Like
Insane, man. Absolutely insane. So the couple pieces that I picked up first from kind of catching back up on this game, they had a great start in this one. And to kind of let Kalamazoo pop back into this one with 3 goals in the third period there is uncharacteristic of the team most of the time. And, it's one of the things where Bedsy was making incredible saves through the first and the second. And then some of the goals that went in, it's just like, are saves that he normally would have. And it was just different.
Tough third period as a whole. Like
it was a tough third period as a whole, for sure.
I just think they just didn't. I seem like they didn't quite have it in the third till it was a little too late. I still think they're struggling to find that full start to finish 60 to 60. Like they've said that a lot. We gotta play 60 minutes. We gotta play 60 minutes, and for whatever reason, the second period's been their best period this year. And it does suck that they had a tough third period and they dropped this game, but like the next night they bounced back well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's playing the full 60 is the hardest thing to do in hockey. And when teams
100%.
figure it out, they roll, right? And every good team goes through a rut. Like they do. And even this rut's not that bad of a rut. Like I think of ruts and I look at, the past 3 weeks in Grand Rapids and go, that's a rut. Toledo, I don't look at this as a rut. And I know a lot of fans probably do. And maybe I'm just a homer in the aspect of saying that it's not a rut. It's not really though. It's there's just some growing pains. I call them growing pains, not a rut. As this team grows closer together, they're just trying to figure out how to make that full 60 happen. And every game you see them get a little better at something that they struggled with the night before, which is always a positive sign. There's always growth. And I guess that's really a lot of credit to the coaching staff for making sure they can identify those little errors and capitalize on them in practice the next day. And, for you and me, as we transition to this next game here, we were both surprised to see how many guys were skating the next day, 4 and 5 days. Usually that Saturday game is probably an optional skate. Maybe it wasn't in this one. We didn't really ask for clarification, but the guys got out there and they were going at it pretty hard.
They were. There was like you said, a lot of guys out there, more than maybe I would expect. Definitely more than the last time.
Oh yeah, way more than I expected for if it was optional.
Yeah, and it's neat to watch, especially the end when they were trying to break their sticks. I think I heard Pat say on the bench.
I don't know if he was joking about that or not, but they were ripping shots at the net. Maybe it was just take out some frustration too. Who knows?
It could have been.
We know one of the assistant coaches' kids game had a rough game before that, so he kind of came out there and was ready to shoot some pucks for sure. He was a little frustrated.
Yeah.
But moving into the game, though, again, against the Kalamazoo Wings, still at home in Toledo. And, God, this was such a pleasure to get to watch this game in person. I love watching this team in person. One, I got to see a power play goal, and up until this point, I wasn't at the Griffins game that Friday, so I hadn't seen a power play goal in person in so long. I didn't know what it felt like anymore. But just to run through the scoring, Kalamazoo does kick off the action really early in this one, a minute 12 into the game. And I know Nick looked at me and goes, it's your fault. You're here. And I was like, oh, hold on, buddy. You don't show up to Toledo for so long and you blame me for the first goal. But, while I do get the game tied before the end of the first, Lewandowski, 16th goal of the season, Craggs and Bantle assisting on it on the power play. That was the power play goal. I was like, oh, that's what that feels like. Nothing in the second period, a really tight game. But I will say in the second period, the first period is obviously when Tyler Spezia sustained that injury. In the second period, pretty much 54 seconds into it, Brandon Hawkins jumps in and steps up for his buddy and fights the guy that maybe hit him. Hawk didn't see the hit. He admitted to us after the game, but he took it as it might have been a vulnerable hit. And he went out there and did his thing and just continues to be an incredible leader on this team. And I saw a lot of people, wondering why it was him, Who cares who it was? Someone went and did it. That's kind of the mentality right there that you like to see. It doesn't matter who, they're going to go do it.
I mean, you probably don't want the guy that's going to score 40, 50 goals a year throwing hands, but you know what?
Probably
he's
not,
going to do it because he's a leader and he's, done it before. And, can I just point something out?
Yeah.
I see a lot of stuff online about the storm days and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we all would love that, but let's not forget the fact that they went 13 years after winning back-to-back championships playing that way and not winning. So the notion of like this whole toughness thing is going to bring you a championship, like there's 13 years that they played a specific way and still didn't get it done. So I think there's a time and a place. And I said to a couple people, when you have a star player, I mean, you can literally call Spezia a star player on this team. You have a star player laying there on the ice and there's a trainer coming out. Like, I don't know that that's the time to just go and, you don't want 20, 30 skates around a guy laying on the ice. Like,
oh, I see what you're saying. I'm glad you said that because I hate that.
Like, accidents can happen, and it just takes one guy to fall. You already got a guy laying there hurt, and then a guy falls, and he falls on top of him. So, again, it goes back to maybe there's a better place and time, and I think Hawk picked the right time to do it.
Yep.
What I didn't catch is if that was his first time on the ice with. It was Pilon's brother that
Yeah,
hit
it
him.
was.
And I was wondering if maybe that was going to be the peel-on battle that, we had talked and we'd seen joked before. There's definitely a time and a place. And look, Hawk is a leader. He wears a letter, you don't have to wear a letter to be a leader, but he does. And he's stepped up for guys like that in the past. And it's your childhood best friend laying there on the ice. Like, you just knew it was going to be him. Like, I kind of expected it to be him, and it was just a matter of when. And, and I'm sure Pelon knew it was going to happen at some point, right? Like,
oh, yeah, sure. 100%. You got to answer at some point, right?
Yeah. And, they said, they didn't see it initially. A lot of the guys didn't know what happened, like, right away, because the puck did go into the other corner. So, you're following the puck with your eyes. You don't really see that because it happened in the corner, right? So, them damn corners. And
you in the corner.
It does suck. Like I said, there's a time and a place. It was handled, and I just think that's really all there is to say on it. Like, yeah, maybe you want to see 20 guys go flying in there and defend their teammate, but again, if you don't really see it right away, how are you supposed to just know? So
yeah, and I'm glad you say that, because one, I understand the frustration when someone sees what happens and they just an all-out brawl starts while there's a guy laying on the ice. Like, I can remember, I don't remember which game it was, but I'm pretty sure it was New York and Winnipeg, where, a guy gets taken down and there's this scrum inches away from him, and you have one player standing there holding the scrum back from him.
It was the Jets and Canadians in the playoffs.
Oh, that's right, Jets Canadians.
And just got demolished, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I understand you want to go after the guy, but the guy's laying on the ice potentially seriously injured. The last thing you want is a guy falling on him. Right. Like, you take that from that 6 to 10 weeks no surgery to surgery by doing something like that. And it's not like Hawk sat there on the bench at the start of the second period and looked down the bench and goes, all right, who's doing it? He just said, screw it, I'm gonna do it, and went and did his thing, because that's what leaders do. They don't look down the bench and go, all right, who's gonna step up? No, you just go out there and step up. And again, sure, you don't like the leading goal scorer throwing hands, but at the same time,
I think
was it a fight? It wasn't even fighting. They gave him roughing.
Roughing, yeah. Well, and I think too, some of it is like, if you're sitting there on the bench and you see a guy like that go do it, that gives you like okay, well, anybody should be doing it now at this point. Like, if he's doing it, so yeah, maybe going forward, somebody else will do it. So,
it got the guys fired up. Let's say that.
Bottom line is, it was handled. May not have been handled the way everybody likes, but, it happened. It's part of this game. I hope it's always a part of this game. Like, it's funny, you listen to Brian, if you get a chance to listen to Brian Burke's book, when he was with the NHL, like, they let the players police themselves most of the time. So, again, like, this kind of just circles back to there's a time and a place, and it was handled. That's all that really needs to be said. I know I rambled, but it's just a reality.
Well, there was some good points in there, especially when you're talking about like the storm days thing. Like, it's an injury.
It's an injury. Like, the game.
Yeah.
Like, there's a time and a place when a guy's laying there, like we've said countless times here in the last 5 minutes. Like, you don't want to have an accident happen, and then there's further injury to somebody, or another potential injury to where now you've got multiple guys laying there, and it's like, okay, I can understand why it happened later, and it did, and it's taken care of, and then the game just carried on.
Yes, it did. So no scoring in the second period there. You go into the third period, 9 minutes, 30 seconds in. Kalamazoo scores. Ironically, it was Pelon that scored that goal on their team. But just literally a few seconds later, Carson Bantle, who was a freaking wrecking ball in this game. And I know I don't get to see him play every time. I know that's how he plays the game every night. But every time I see it, I'm just like, wow. Like, he's a machine out there. He ends up getting his 17th goal of the season. Griffin, Ness, and Matt Anderson assisting. Love to see Nesser getting another point there too. That's good. Let's keep getting him rolling, right? We just need to see point production every weekend from him, and we'll all be happy, right? Game stays tied, goes to overtime, and as we referenced in the intro of the show here, podcast bump for Mr. Jalen Smerrick after getting interviewed by us that morning. 10 seconds into overtime, scores the frickin' game-winning goal, his 7th of the season, from Trenton Bliss and Brandon Hawkins. The Walleye take a nice W home with them in this one. And that goal, I know Hawk chirped him a little bit. Maybe we got to teach him to score with two hands instead of just one. But hey, we'll take it. We don't ask how. It just worked out. But, I mean, that goal, fantastic.
I jokingly said to you, like, look at the monitor we have to deal with. Like, so
You literally say that and it happens.
well, and I did not know what he was talking about because we're watching on like a side angle for a monitor that's like no wider or bigger than a computer screen. So the next morning is when I seen that it was a one-handed goal, and I was like, holy, like he did that. And,
He did.
It was crazy. He was all hype after the game. It was so great to see. And look, that just shows you the skill, right? That's a high skill play by a very skilled player. And that's just a minor piece of what you can get with him. And just an incredible play.
Well, you talk about a guy who was used to being counted on for the offense, right, in Cincinnati, and even he's mentioned that before. And you lose your second leading scorer. You still have a defenseman back there who was counted on for scoring. Like you can find scoring elsewhere if you happen to lose it somewhere else, and that just should reassure people that the team will be okay without Tyler Spezia. Yes, it sucks, but they'll be fine. The scoring will come from other places on the ice, and Smerek's a perfect example of a guy that's probably going to come from quite a bit during this time. But one last piece I want to talk about with this game, because ironically for me, what I've seen the Walleye play a few times in person this year with the trip down to Toledo and a couple times in Kalamazoo, I've only seen Carter Gylander play in game once before this game. And the Carter Gylander that I saw during the beginning of the season, when I saw that, to now, dude, he's so sound in net. Especially in this game, he looked so dialed in. Like the goals that Kalamazoo scored, I wouldn't really fault him for in this game. But just watching him at practice that morning and then watching him in the game, I'm like, this kid is a true professional. And he's someone, again, that always gets lost in the goalie shuffle when you talk about Detroit Red Wings goaltenders because of Sebastian Cossa and Trey Augustine. Like, we can't forget about Carter Gylander. This kid potentially could be something special. And that also goes for Jan Bednar, but I've given him a million flowers in the show for his performance lately. But I had to call out Carter in this one because he just looked so solid.
Well, it was a great bounce back game because if you remember, he gave up four in the game against Cincinnati and then come back and give up 2. And it just shows that, it's like Hawk says it, mind of a goldfish, but you just flush the game in Cincy, and you're going to start Saturday and you can prepare. And I think, was it him that got the paddle save in practice too? Like, was that him or was that Bantle?
Oh yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, like he's like leaning to his left and he just reaches over and paddle, and I'm like, ooh. I think everybody on ice like made an uproar about it. So
oh yeah, everyone was like, oh, because that was a sick save. I wish that we had a clip of it, but we don't. But yeah, just wanted to give Carter some spotlight there because, again, I'm just super impressed with his play and watching his development and this is his rookie year. We got to remember that. And if he takes the same path of progression that Cossa does, going from Toledo to GR, and can perform like this and have bounce backs like this, like goalies are allowed to have rough games, but it's how they come back the next game. And he came back exactly how you would expect him to.
Well, and that's, again, goes back to an individual we've talked a bunch about. Like, having a goaltending coach really helps. Like, makes things a lot easier when you have a guy in your ear every day saying, giving you the good vibes you need. And one thing that I noticed too while we're talking about goaltending is like, maybe Yanni had a tough third period. I think that was kind of said too. Like, I think it was even said to us, and you've seen like his attention to detail with Ace the next morning at practice, like fundamentally working on things that maybe they seen Friday to prepare you for your next start. So that just kind of is a little bit of insight into what's going on down there with these two goaltenders. Like, they're getting plenty of attention and plenty of love.
Yeah, having Ace there has been huge. I mean, we even asked Bedsy when he was by the bench at practice. We're like, is it nice having him down here? Instant response. Oh yeah, it's great. And, we've heard it before, in the past where they might get a guy down from the American League or the NHL once a month. And then they had Osair there when Cossa was there, and he was at least there once a week but having a guy that you're working with every single day and it's the same guy to build that relationship with and work on those fundamentals is huge. And I'm so glad the Red Wings and the organization made that investment into having a full-time goalie coach in Toledo. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. I'm sure a lot of teams will pick up on this in the future and start doing the same thing. There's no way you don't when you see the results like this. These two goalies are having fantastic seasons. So outside of that, nothing else from the Saturday game. We'll send it over to a quick ad break. Then when we come back, we'll recap Sunday's game and a few bonuses. I think we got some interviews around the Toledo Police and Toledo Fire hockey game to go into as well. So quick ad break and we'll jump into that.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. A game's left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back. All right, let's dive into this last game here quick. You had the Iowa Heartlanders coming to town. I love a 3-3 in Toledo. Like, it always makes me happy when we see that action. But apparently we didn't know ahead of time how much the whole organization would struggle with the Minnesota Wild organization over this weekend. And the Griffins and the Griffins and the Toledo Walleye both facing the same fate on this Sunday. A 3-2 overtime loss to a team from Iowa. Like, it's weird how the universe aligns like that. Two teams play a team from Iowa. They both lose 3-2 in overtime. Back to the game here. Like we said, they lose this one 3-2 in overtime. Unfortunately, scoring goes as followed. Pilon kicks off the action in the first period. 5 minutes, 38 seconds into the game. His third of the season, unassisted. Walk me through this goal.
Bad turnover, and he just rifled it. That's really all you can say. It was a bad turnover, and he was just in the right place at the right time. Made a great shot.
I loved his post game with you. Just total vibes. Just talking about his line mates being dogs. Even the loss.
You know,
it was vibes.
It was funny because, like, I was like, man, how am I gonna? I've never talked to him, so I'm like, how am I gonna break the ice here? And I'm like, oh yeah, he's only scored in specialty jerseys.
Only you would know that stat off the top of your head like that. Only you. Anyways, back to the game. Second period, usually the Walleye's best period, but Iowa converts twice back-to-back here with about 7 minutes apart there to take a 2-1 lead, but Toledo does tie it up here late in the second, very late in the second, 19-minute, 45-second mark of the period. And who else would score another power play goal for the Walleye this weekend other than Carson Bantle, his 18th of the season from Sawyer and Craggs? What happened on this play? Was it just him being a menace like he usually is?
I mean, it's just him being huge. It was a great power move. He got the puck on his left, standing to the goalie's left, and just basically made a sharp turn and used that 6-foot whatever tree length frame he has, and just was like, I'm scoring, and this is what it's gonna be, and you can't stop me. And it was like I came out and see, I was like, oh my God, he just did that. Like, that was stupid.
I love it, man. Like, it's one of those players that you didn't expect. Like, we didn't know what to expect from him. And to be honest, when we saw him skate at training camp with the Red Wings, we were like, oh, his skating, it was rough at that point. But again, you got to think. He
just had a bad day that day. Like,
I think it might have also been just nerves. You're out there skating with, Dylan Larkin, Patty Kane, Alex DeBrincat, and all those guys. And he was against most of them, if I remember right, and what team he was on in the red and white game.
And I felt bad because, like, guys were going at him that game. Like,
oh, they were too. They were trying to get him frustrated. But you see what happens when you do. He just becomes a menace.
Yeah, he knows how to score goals, and it's crazy.
Well, the original point I was going to there was, like, he's another one of those players in this team that can kind of just take over the shift when he's out there. When that line's on the ice, he can just take over the game. Whether it's, using his size and his speed or just being an absolute beast along the boards with the board battles that he wins, they can really take it over and own possession in the opposing zone for quite a long time when that line is out there. And a lot of it is just him being a human freaking wrecking ball.
Yeah, he gets the puck on the boards, and it's like he's not losing it.
I think I counted one board battle loss for him on Saturday night. Like, I was trying to keep track, and
Out of how
he
many?
won. I couldn't tell you, but I just remember him losing only one and winning a lot of them. So
I think
very impressive.
One thing I want to point out with him too is it's like the last like 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks, he's started to really throw his weight around too. So it's like he's comfortable within himself now to like go out there and just start throwing guys around. I thought he was going to kill Swankler the other night, like in this game. Like at one point, I was like, I said to Kels, I was like, Bantle might literally kill him if he gets his hands on him. I was like,
He's really good at being aggressive like that and getting the other guy riled up, and then he just shuts it off and walks away while the other guy's still screaming at him. Like,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful tactic that if a young player, if you can figure it out like that and get the other team that riled up to potentially take a penalty, which I know he's drawn quite a few, like that's a fun skill to have. Plus, you're also kind of an elite goal scorer in this league at this point.
Yeah, it's funny because they're two way different goals that he scored this weekend. And not to go back to Saturday, but I have to just for this little note is like, I don't think you were downstairs yet, but Pat was even like, I told the guys shoot the puck low, and finally they did, and they scored.
Yep.
And
I remember him
game,
saying that.
And then this game, he makes that crazy power move. He's just like, when you can score goals like this, I mean, like, that's the hardest thing to do in this game is score. Like, and he's scoring. Seems almost nightly.
It really does. And like you said, he's just comfortable using his frame to make moves happen. And that's, I mean, hell, that's how he scored his first AHL goal, is just a power move. And he's figured out how to rein that in. So good for him.
We joked up in my section in this game about like potentially like our playoff roster. And I was like, could you imagine if they threw a line out of like Hunter and Bantle on the same line if Hunter ended up down here for the playoffs? Like the amount of bodies that would just be flying around, like it would be chaos.
That's your grind line, man.
Yeah.
That's your grind line. It's crazy.
That's got a guy that's going to probably score 20 goals.
Yeah, right. Well, anyways, back to the game. Like we said, that was the tying goal there. No goals in the third period. And then overtime happens, 3 minutes, 42 seconds into it. Iowa scores, wins the game there, unfortunately. And it's just kind of one of those bad breaks where puck goes the other way in the other direction. You're like, I got a bad feeling this is finding the back of the net. And it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, vibes were low. It sucked.
Yeah, but it happens, right? Again, season's not over with one overtime loss. And again, as we got to remind people, Iowa's second in this division. They're the ones chasing down Toledo right now. They're a very good team. They're 8-2 in their past 10 right now. They're hot right now. And for a team from Iowa who doesn't have a lot of fans, let's be real, they struggle to fill that rink most nights.
In a college town,
right? But at the same time, like you look at the Iowa Wild and the American League, who've been a struggle bus for a while. You look at the Iowa Heartlanders last year, and they were a struggle bus. And then you look at them this year, like, wow, what a turnaround. So heck of a team. And when the Walleye lose to a good team, it does sting less. I know the guys don't agree with that, but for me, when I look at the perspective of the game, I'm like, yeah, if you're going to lose a game, that's the game to lose for the weekend. It's unfortunate they lost Friday. I wish they could have picked up that win for sure, but still sitting atop of the division at 74 points, still sitting atop of the conference as well, with Kansas City behind them, with 1 point behind them, I should say. And then when it comes to the league standings, still sitting in third, 1 point behind Three Rivers, and Florida obviously still running the ECHL at this point, unfortunately, which I can't wait for that matchup at the end of March here between these two teams. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully by then, they've got a lot of the little things sorted out, because I think those little things getting sorted out, they'll give Florida a fit while they're down there. So other than that, though,
that's a measuring stick weekend.
That is a measuring stick weekend, and I think I want to preface that weekend already with saying, if they lose those games, it's not the finals and it's not the end of the season, and it doesn't matter if you're a Walleye fan. And I know fans are going to take every little detail from those couple games and they're going to run with them. Settle down.
That's the fun part of this fan base, is just how chaotic it is. But
it is a blast sometimes, and sometimes you're just like, oh my God, stop. But anyways, that is all we have for the weekend recap. Before we end the show, though, there's a fun game coming up at the Huntington Center on March 8th, right?
Yeah, so Battle of the Badges. This will be the 13th meeting at that I've gotten, I've seen a couple different numbers, but based off winners for the trophy, this will be the 13th meeting. The police hold an all-time series record of 9-3. The police also have the longest winning streak of 5 years in a row. The Fire's longest win streak is 2. The police will look to extend a current winning streak to 4. There were no games played in 2020 or 2023, and the biggest crowd was around 1,900 people. We're asking like the fans to show up. Like, we're trying to help promote this for them. This is their Stanley Cup final, Game 7. Like, this is the game of the year for them. Profit from your ticket goes to charity. That everybody loves that, when you can donate a lot of money to charity. And like, I think they said between the two guys that we talked to, like, there were 3 fights last year. So like, these guys care. So
I was waiting for you to say that was the thing. So I've been to the Grand Rapids one where it's GRPD versus GRFD. And I went to that for the first time last year. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be just a silly beer league game. And then like a minute in, there was a massive check. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, these guys are playing hockey. And that instantly had me dialed into it. And I remember a couple of fights in that one. And I remember because I was actually working at that event when I was watching it there. And I remember seeing a guy from the Michigan State Police running like a recruitment booth there. And I was like, who do we call when these two are fighting? And he's like, not me. I ain't touching it. And they're such a fun one. But I love that these games, one, support charity always. The guys always go out there and have a ton of fun. It's awesome to hear that many fans showing up too. The Grand Rapids one does not get that kind of turnout, even close to it. So hearing that that's kind of the average attendance for it is really cool. And we're excited to help promote it and be a part of it a little bit. But Travis, you sat down with one guy from each team, talked to him about what these games mean. We're going to throw it to those interviews here when we come back, wrap up the show.
Joining us today is a special guest as we look ahead to March 8th with the Battle of the Badges. We're happy to have Kyle Getzinger on from the Toledo Fire. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Doing good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking some time out.
Hey, seriously, I mean, right in the middle of work, and you're kind enough with your time to give us some of your time. So we're just going to jump right into this. Preview the Fire a little bit. So kind of just start us off. How do you end up on the Toledo Fire hockey team?
So a little history lesson, going back well before my time. I've been on the department for 15 years. We used to have a combined team. Police and fire were one squad. I came on the department in 2010, kind of didn't even know there was a hockey team. Some of the other guys found out I played and said, come out to a tournament. And we used to go out to tournaments around the Midwest and Michigan. And going into 2011 was the first year we did Battle of the Badges. And that was the first time we had ever separated the two teams. To be honest, the first couple of years we had to bring in some outsiders just to field two teams. Now you fast forward, 13, 14 years later, and both teams have filled out completely with guys that are police officers or firefighters. Both teams have guys that aren't specifically just Toledo Fire or Toledo Police. We have some outlying area suburban department guys that help us fill out each squad, and that's where it all kind of started. It's a brief history lesson and brings us all the way to today.
Can anybody play, or do you have to have like any sort of hockey experience to be able to play?
So I tell anybody on our department, anybody local, that if they want to come out and skate with us, we'll have like a little bit of private drop-ins and just some kind of rec skates. And anybody wants to come out and play and hang out and kind of see what the sport's all about, they're welcome. And most of those guys come out and they just are looking for a way to blow off some steam, get some exercise, some camaraderie with the guys, even some females as well. All are welcome. And but when it comes to tournament teams and games like this, it's more of our accomplished guys that have played growing up or at least have been around and are familiar with the team for several years. But we have guys that have played college club, junior, all the way to guys that picked up the game as an adult that are on our roster. So,
oh. And you said you've been with the team how long?
Since I got on the department, so 15 years.
That's awesome.
What does the schedule look like for the season for you guys? Like, how many games do you guys play?
Um, the past few years, we had played in some adult leagues at the Toledo Ice House. We used to play way back in the day when it was a combined team. They would even go up, and there still is a first responder league out of Redford, Michigan, up in suburban Detroit teams that still play Thursday mornings. There was a time when we played in that. We played in Woodhaven, Michigan, in a first responder league. So we would play in basically a men's league throughout the year, one night a week, and that was in addition to our tournament schedule, which our tournament schedule usually is about one tournament for each month on average between November and April or May. Sometimes we don't get in a tournament every month just because of schedules and conflicts and stuff. But we've gone and played in Chicago, New York, Nashville. I've gone down to Orlando to play, and they have a big firefighter tournament in Orlando. So we get around quite a bit. I'd say you're looking at somewhere in the realm of, on average, 30 to 40 games in a average season for us if we're hitting everything that we'd like to. Doesn't always show that we play that much when we get together on the ice, but we have a good time, and it's more about the guys getting together and just like I said earlier, way to blow off some steam and good camaraderie. It's really big. Hockey, for some reason, seems to be one of, if not the biggest sport within the first responder military community. I don't know why that is, other than my best guess being that how close knit hockey players are in the amount of time we spend together. But
That's crazy because like we have a Battle of the Badges up here at Grand Rapids as well.
yeah,
And you would think it's just like the one game of the year like that you guys play together. And so you guys are playing like a whole season. You guys are traveling to other states and
yeah.
playing throughout the season. So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that because I was like, you would just assume it's just one big game that you guys are all coming out to play.
Yeah, actually, there is a Michigan Police and Fire Hockey League, and we've gone up and played in that. And it's basically a circuit of about 4 or 5 times throughout the season. They pick a city, and those are usually Lansing, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, and Grand Rapids. And the teams, police and fire teams from those respective communities, come together. And with our schedules being a little bit flexible with our days off, it works out so we can play games during the weekday, daytime hours because ice is in such high demand, in the evenings and weekends. We're able to do those type of tournaments, and they actually just had one last week we were intending on going to, but just didn't have the numbers to get there. But it's a nice little thing that they do up there. We've been invited a few times.
Speaking of numbers, like how many people do you guys have to have on the team? Is there a limit? Do you guys try to field a big team because of, situations may come up?
Yeah, especially because we work a 3-shift system. We call them A, B, and C shift. So we work 24 hours and then we're off for 48 hours. So if we have something going on a certain shift, we may have, 7, 8 guys that are at work that day. So our roster does have somewhere between 40 and 50 names on it. We always have our core group, with probably about a core group of 10 to 12 guys that really make it a solid effort to make it to as many things as possible, whether that be pulling trades at work because we have a tournament going on, or using a vacation day so that they can make it to events. And then the other guys come in and play when they can, and when family obligations don't interfere.
That's awesome. I mean, you hear 40, 50 people. That's a huge roster to pick from. But what's your favorite memory being on the team so far?
Oh, favorite memory. Honestly, like the Battle of the Badges is great. It's a great event and it's a good time. But my favorite memories are actually just going out on the road to these tournaments, and just having a good time, not only with our team, but getting to visit and meet guys and girls from around the country at different departments, and just being with like-minded people. We share stories, and the camaraderie. That's the biggest bonus or thing that I get out of it. spending time with the guys, and you can't beat it. It's at the firehouse. We live together for 24 hours, and my wife's also a firefighter on the department. So um, I'm fortunate that she understands and gets it. A lot of guys aren't that fortunate to have a spouse that understands the stresses and everything. So I think a lot of guys enjoy getting some time away and being able to hang out away from the firehouse with like-minded individuals. And there's always a few ginger ales floating around, so that's always a good time.
Any players that we got to keep an eye on for the game on your side?
Players like some wild card guys that we have some really skilled individuals. We got a young kid that came on a couple years ago that played junior. He's a good player. He's one to keep an eye on. That's Jake Gignac. He wears number 20. Sometimes you got to reel him in a little bit and, hey, settle down, but he's a lot of fun. We got some really skilled guys. Some of us are getting a little older now, so we're slowing down a bit, but kind of like if you're familiar with the game last year, anything can happen. I mean, we've had some high scoring games, and usually there's always high scoring because defense kind of suffers sometimes. But I mean, last year we had 3 tilts in the game. It's not like something that we really go out planning on happening. It's just, we're all red-blooded, high tempered, really really competitive guys on that ice, and we're playing for pride for our department and bragging rights. And we know if we don't win, which unfortunately we haven't in the last few years, we're going to hear it for the next several days, weeks, even from our brothers here at the firehouse. So, it's a fun one to watch. You're not really going to see the highest caliber hockey at every one of our games, but it's competitive and it's fun, and you're supporting good causes.
That's probably the biggest takeaway, right? Is the causes, and like you see it at a huge scale with like the NYPD and the NYFD game, like when they have their big one out on the island. I mean, is that like your guys' goal, like with the Huntington Center?
Well, we've talked about like a 5-year plan with the Walleye and the Huntington Center, and I think we'd love to get as many people as possible in there, because it's fun to play in front of a crowd. We don't usually play in front of many people on a Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. in Cincinnati. So it's fun to play in front of your family and friends and your coworkers. But the more people we get in the door, the more charity money we can raise, and that's what this game truly ultimately is about. I appreciate you guys giving us a little bit of help here with promoting the game, because every person that comes in the gate that day, $4 from each ticket is going to go to the respective charities for both police and fire. So we share that money, and that's what it's about. That's why we do it. And actually, every tournament that we go to, there's always a charitable cause involved. So that's the mission of our department's team is to raise charity money for causes that we believe in, and also to help promote healthy outlets for our guys in our department, because it is stressful, and people deal with stress in different ways, and this is a healthy way we can try to blow off some of that steam.
What is the charities that you guys are helping with this for this game?
So from the fire department standpoint, we always play for the Toledo Firefighters Local 92 charities, and there's a charities committee within our union, and we donate money throughout the year to many different local and national charities. We get requests through the union for charitable events and causes, and that's where our committee brings it to our union body at a meeting, and we'd like to donate X amount of dollars to this charity or that charity, and that's where our money goes.
That's probably the coolest part of the entire thing, is that so much charity money is being raised. But what, in your opinion, makes this game so special, the Battle of the Badges?
Pride. We're very prideful individuals in fields of service. We all took an oath to protect and serve members of our community, and this is a way that we can still serve our community, but we're not out there risking our lives for that 3 or 4 hours that we're on the ice. We're doing it and having some fun, because any day, it may sound really dramatic, but when my brothers and sisters come into work every day, we tell our families goodbye. We don't know if we're going to come home, and it's the same for the police officers. Like I said, my wife's a firefighter here on the department. My sister's a police officer, sheriff's deputy up in Michigan, and we don't go to work, thinking like that, but it's always in the back of your mind. So, taking pride in representing your department, and also being able to provide some type of service towards the community in some ways that we're not put in harm's way. That's awesome. Everyone's that's probably watching this, keyed into this podcast, is probably familiar with the Four Nations. And I'd say the way the guys feel about putting on that USA jersey or that Canada jersey, that's kind of the way we feel putting on our jerseys. You're representing our department and everybody that's on the department. The winning team's chief gets to keep that trophy in their office for the rest of the following year until the next game. So there's always that on the line. We've even had some side bets with chiefs over the years that if we win, the police chief has to wear a fire department jersey to a walleye game and vice versa. There's all kinds of chirps going on in the streets leading up to this game. Already hearing it from some of the police guys. So it's a highly anticipated event, and it's become an annual event that people look forward to. And we've worked really hard over the last decade to grow this event to be what it is today. And that's a testament to both the walleye and our department, the police department, the players involved, and everybody that's helped us grow it over the years, like yourselves.
I'm glad you referenced the Four Nations, because you could see those guys out there. They were playing right to like 0.1 second of the periods out there. And my question to you was going to be: is this like your Stanley Cup Game 7? Is this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't wear shoulder pads except for one game a year, and that's this game. And I'm not the only one. We don't go up. We don't play like a full contact game, but we play what we like to call competitive contact, and certain shifts are more competitive than others. So, this is absolutely our Stanley Cup. That's the way we refer to it. The last few years, I'd rather have been like, a best of 3 series rather than a one-off, but it's a lot of fun.
That was actually my next question. Like, why not try to make it a best of 3 with
Oh yeah, trust me, I'd like to, because there's definitely some games where I'm like, if we beat them next game, that I know we could, but they have some really well accomplished hockey players on the police department. I went to high school and played with their goaltender. He's a hell of a guy and a really good tendy. And we have, like I said, we have some really accomplished, skilled individuals on our side too. And we're hoping for some better results this year than we have the last couple.
So how neat is it to see the Walleye embrace this night, go in on their game with this sweet uniform?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's something that we've actually, like I said, for the last decade, every year we're meeting with the Walleye months in advance in preparation for this game. Initially, the Battle of Badges was supposed to just be a one-time game. It was something that was initiated because the former police chief, Rick Navarre, was retiring in 2011, and they wanted to do a game kind of to honor him in his retirement. And it was such a success that it just continued to the next year. In the second year that we had our game, there was a pretty good tilt at the end of the game, and some of the people involved were kind of really upset. Like, it's a charity game. How can you guys be out there fighting? It just happened organically. But the following year after that happened, it was like, holy crap, there's like twice as many people in the stands now. We really kind of set something in motion here with that, because people were like, oh, they're taking this serious. This isn't just, a pickup game. So the Walleye have embraced us and helped us over the years. And we talked about doing a specialty jersey, probably I'd say like 3-4 years ago, brought it up to them. But they have only X amount of special jersey nights that they can do per year. So they told us at that time it's something we actually would really like to do in the future. And it's nice to see them following through with that. And we're excited. I think that came out pretty cool. Hopefully they go to raise some good money as well.
It's such a great organization. Like, we've only been doing this podcast for technically 3 years, but 2.5 seasons, and they've just been so welcoming. The organization and just the fans down there. So I mean, I can see that point where how welcoming they are for you folks.
Yeah, it's we run into some snafus here and there with just some logistical issues on game day. But they're always willing to help us out, and what can we do to make your experience better. They let us come in early and set up the locker room. Like I said, we treat it like it's our Stanley Cup. We get the Gatorade cooler, and my son comes out, and he's the stick boy, and we try to make it for that one day, walk around like we feel like we're real professionals, and we're setting up everything in the stalls, because we don't usually get to do that. We're lucky if some of these arenas have some hooks for our clothes. So you go in the locker room and you're getting gear set up and your jersey's hanging there with your name, and we got some new sweaters that we're going to unveil this year. So we're looking forward to it. Absolutely.
What's kind of your message to the fans? Like, if they've never been to this game, why they should consider coming, and like ultimately, what do you just want to say to the people?
My message is, it's a good time. It's a lot of fun. You're, like I said before, you're going and enjoying some good competitive hockey, and you're supporting good causes. And the top idea here is to support the charities, but you're also supporting the people that come to work every day to serve and protect you. Show them some support. Come out and watch the game. And have a good time. Concession stands are open. We have merchandise that'll be for sale on the concourse. That's another thing that the Walleye have been very generous with allowing us to do. Toledo Fire hockey jerseys, sweatshirts, hats, specialized battle badges, T-shirts on sale. We'll have a chuck-a-puck. We try to really make it a good fan experience on our end as much as we can with the Walleye's help. And it's a little bit of a less chaotic event for maybe someone that's not an actual hockey fan, but they're first responders themselves, or they have family members that are first responders. Those are kind of like the individuals that we're trying to bring in addition to the average hockey fan as well. So it's a great time. It's a good cause. Come out and check out the game, and I hope we win this year.
Do you have any chirps, any trash talk you want to put out there for the other team?
When I first joined the team, I was that young guy like Jake that I referenced earlier. I was running around a little bit, and through being involved with coming in to help run the team, I've decided just be the face. It's hard to run around it and be kind of like the thorn in guys' side too much. The other guys will handle that, but I think we gotta perform on the ice a little better before I can chirp the cops, and they're just gonna tell us, they already chirped me about our new jersey. They say, well, you can't play good, you might as well look good. But we're trying to fall under the look good, feel good, play good model here. Just be ready for a good game, boys.
That's smart. That's how I am too.
I know we're looking forward to it. I know we've kind of discussed a few things that we could maybe do with you guys during, before, and after with the game, and to kind of get you guys to feel like as close to like you said, being a pro for a day as you guys can be with given that, your current responsibilities. So I know we're looking forward to it. And I just thank you for taking the time out of your day during work hours to stop by and chat with us.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Kyle.
we're lucky with no runs came in. We're going to try to keep it that way, knock on wood.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome back. Now we're joined by one of my friends. I actually played youth hockey with Tyler. Tyler's on the police team. So, Tyler, thank you for joining us and talking about this upcoming game. And I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it. How do you kind of end up on the Toledo Police team?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. End up on the team. It's just Toledo area, Lucas County area. Any sworn police officer can join our team.
So anybody who even somebody who has no hockey experience can join?
Yeah, we've got a wide range of skill levels, wide range of ages. We've got not just Toledo officers, but I think we've got Perrysburg, Sylvania, ProMedica, our park services as well. So we kind of got a broad range of everyone around to kind of make our team.
And this is your rookie year.
It's my rookie year, my debut year.
Oh, wow. So how many games have you played, or how many games does the team play throughout the year?
We average about 10 games. I'd say I think this will be my 6th game on March 8th. We had a few, started off the year with a fire tournament. Then we had a charity game up in Detroit. And then we just had one about 2 weeks ago at the Ice House.
When you guys were out of state, did you guys play this fire department team already?
Yeah, we played them at their tournament, so we've already got one win against them this year.
The chirps are already flying.
Yeah, we heard a lot of chirp like that. You guys hear back and forth off the ice about this game.
Oh, he's already given them.
Well, everybody is. It sounds like.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a fun week leading up.
So with this roster of being made up of a bunch of police, and you've got other counties and other counties and cities making up this, how big of a roster do you guys have?
It depends. Our work schedule isn't the best. It's not as cozy as Fire's schedule. So it could depend. We average about 12 to 14 guys. I think there's about mid-20s that has signed up for us. But on an average game day, we see anywhere from about 10 to 15.
You think you guys will be closer to the 20 mark Saturday because it's the game? Yeah,
it's a big game, so you might see a few more people taking that day off to come push around Fire a little bit.
And then, only a few games played, but what's your favorite memory so far since you've joined the team?
Favorite memory? I guess there's two. It's been a while since I've played competitive hockey. So it's that first time hopping back on the ice, wearing a team's jersey. It just meant the world to me that I got that opportunity again. Second favorite, first Fire tournament, just had a few assists, nothing too crazy. Went up to Detroit, played where the Motor City Rockers played, finally scored my first goal. I think I sent it to you, Trav, a little bar down from the slot. I tried to get that puck, but it kind of vanished on me. So if anyone knows where that is, let me know.
Who's a few players on you guys' team that we got to keep an eye out on for this game?
We'll start at the base of any hockey team. Our goalie, pretty much. You can go down the line. We don't have a bad line on the team. We got a variety of skill levels. Our top line. Top three lines really can produce. So, I'm a defenseman. I give all the props to my goalie, but show up and you'll see, there's a lot of depth on this roster.
Yeah. You see, so I got the biggest one I've got, you see the New York PD and the NYFD game, every year selling out, where the Islanders play out on the island. And is that kind of what both teams envision, someday possibly doing that at the Huntington Center?
That game's electric. There's nothing better than playing in front of a packed stadium, and there's nothing better in Toledo than a packed stadium at the Huntington Center. So, end goal, if we get that place packed and rocking like a playoff game for the Walleye, that would be amazing.
Is this the biggest arena that you've played in? It's the Huntington Center?
I think Travis and I have played at the Joe before.
Yeah.
In the past. I've played at the old sports arena before that got torn down. But yeah, I'd have to give it to the Joe, probably the biggest one I've played at.
How neat is it just to play in the Huntington Center, though?
I mean, it's cool. It kind of like brings back all your childhood dreams of wanting to play pro hockey. I mean, I'm a little older now. That's passed. So yeah, I mean, stepping on the ice where all the pros play, or where the walleye plays, it doesn't get better than that.
And like kind of go into like for people that don't know or aren't familiar with it, like what makes this matchup so special?
I mean, it's two groups of guys and gals that work real close together day in and day out. There's just a built-in rivalry even at work. I mean, and then you get to not think about work for a few hours a day. Get to play hockey. I mean, there's nothing better than that. And then you get to play against people you see every day. It'll be hard fought, probably be a physical game, but after the fact, I mean, we're all brothers in the end. So, I mean, that just the camaraderie and the family aspect makes it a whole lot of fun.
Would you say this is like your Game 7 of the Stanley Cups?
I would. I've been looking forward to this. It's been on the calendar for a while. I've been skating 3-4 times a week. I've been putting in hours on the ice, just getting ready for this. So, yeah, I don't think I've ever prepared for a hockey game quite like this one.
I'll say he's hounded me to go to drop-ins this week, Nick.
Yeah, I'm trying
that gives you any indication.
I need you out there in a Coyotes jersey.
I don't know if we could go that far. Do you wish this was like a 3-game series though? Like a little series, not just a one-off every year?
I mean, we see them enough. I mean, we've already beat them once this year. So we play them March 8th. We beat them again. It's already a 2 for 3. I mean, is there a need for a third game?
So talk about this game, because if you watch back from like old highlights, it's not like an all-star game. You guys are out there. You guys are competing to the final whistle, doing what's needed.
Yeah, I mean, nothing fancy out there. You might see a few guys pull a few moves out deep in the pocket, but we're there to win. I mean, there to win, represent our police department, represent our city, and come home with that trophy and give us bragging rights for the next year.
Are there any side bets going on for this year's game?
Not that I've been made aware of. I mean, there may be an over/under for fights this year. We'll see how that goes.
Oh man, that'll be interesting if that does happen.
There was a few last year, so don't.
Yeah, and are you excited? Like, I mean, obviously you said you've played them, but you're playing them at like the Huntington Center. It's your first go at this. Like, what's your kind of vibe going into this?
I'm trying to go out there and make a statement. Rookie season. I'm trying to put up numbers. Yeah, I mean, even in our small tournaments, I look forward to the Toledo Fire game, playing those guys. Again, it just goes back to like the bragging rights. I'll see them out working. It's a little chirp fest going back and forth. I mean, nothing better.
This matchup's like so interesting because you hear about like, and you see it like, you've kind of alluded to like you guys go out there and it's, kind of like a small little like war between two departments. But then after the game, it's like you're back in the brotherhood and it's like all about being a first responder. Like, can you just kind of talk about what like the relationship's like as soon as the game hits 000?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we work hand in hand. It's a brotherhood at the end of the day. I can't do my job without them. They can't do their job without me. And it goes back to that. I mean, you need each other. After the game, I'm sure we'll all go to a bar, have a few drinks together. It's just all for fun, all for charity. It's a great time.
Talk about represent your city on this team. I mean, it's your first season, so I mean, there's probably a lot to live up to, right? With how long this has been going on, about I think it was 15 years.
Yeah, somewhere around that. I remember going to a few of the games back in the day. Just happened to have bought walleye tickets for that day, and then saw what was going on and popped in. They're always a lot of fun. Being my first year, I mean, I've always played hockey in Toledo, always worn Toledo on my chest. The city's done a lot for me. It's the city I work for. I work for the people. I mean, there's nothing better than throwing on that jersey and getting to play in front of a bunch of people.
Speaking of that, like how you've grown up there, you've lived there, Like, how neat is it for the organization to really embrace this and go all in, especially with the uniforms this year?
You're talking about the walleye, the new
Yeah.
walleye. Yeah, those
Yeah.
things are sick. I like those. I tried. Like I'm gonna have to get one of those. I'm gonna have to call Travis and have him pull some strings for me.
Call Friedman.
I mean, all the support. It's all very needed, welcomed. The Walleye are a great organization, allowing us to come into their barn, especially on a day they have a game later in the day, allowing us to use their ice, use their facilities, and can't say much more about how great of an organization they are.
You kind of alluded to it. Like, you played defense when we were kids. Are you still playing defense? Have they tried you up front? Like,
they've put me up front and center. You should see your boy trying to take a face off. It's about the ugliest thing you can see, but I got a buddy who plays in the Fed and spent about 15 minutes with him working on face-offs today just for this game.
That doesn't kind of give you an idea how much it means to guys. I don't know what does.
Yeah, we're putting in the work. We had about, I think there was 3 of us out there today skating. There's skating every Tuesday, Thursday. There's usually 5 or 6 of us. So guys are taking it serious. Department's taking it serious. So it's going to be a fun night.
What's kind of like your message to the fans if they've never been to this game and why they should come?
I mean, first and foremost, Toledo's just a hockey city. I mean, between the Walleye, you got the Mobsters, the Cherokee, the junior games out there. I mean, if you've never come out, you want to watch some decent level hockey. It's gonna be decently fast paced, physical game. You might see a few fights. I know the people love some fights, some chirps. Gonna watch a bunch of guys who give their all for the city, give it all on the ice. So, I mean, what more could you want?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but some of this money too for the tickets that are going to charity. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a few charities that we support. I'll list. We got the Give Back to the Children's Hospital, Toledo Children's Hospital, Toledo Public School Foundation, the Fallen Officer Memorial Scholarship, our pal Paws and Whiskers. Both, I believe, us and the fire team both support a sled hockey team, so some of that will go there. And then we have the Toledo Ice Crew program that teaches hockey to like the inner city kids, gives them a route to go, something to do after school, stuff like that. Kind of expand the game as well. So there's quite a few charities. So I mean, the more people we get there, the more we can give back to the community.
Why does it seem like hockey's like the sport for these like Toledo Police, Toledo Fire teams that everybody wants to play on?
I mean, is there a better game? Is there a better sport in the world? I mean, everyone wants to be a hockey player. I mean, hockey guys just love the sport. We'll die for it. And, you know, to give us all another chance to play, maybe past our prime is great.
I mean, if you got anything, what do you like? What else do you got for us? Like, what do you got to say for the fans? Like, anything you got?
I mean, March 8th, noon, you can watch Toledo Police kick the crap out of Toledo Fire. So, yeah, March 8th, 12 o'clock, come watch Toledo Police beat the crap out of Toledo Fire. Be how many years in a row now? I'd have to check again to see what that is. But
I think it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. We'll add another one to that. Come out, support us, support our charities, enjoy some hockey. I think there's links out there for our games and the game after. So why not enjoy a day full of hockey?
Anything you want to say to the Fire?
They can just see me on March 8th. I'll see them out there.
Well, Ty, I can't thank you enough. I mean, I know you were excited to do this, and we're excited to help kind of grow this game what little bit we can. I mean, it seems like every little bit helps, especially when a lot of it goes to charity.
Yeah, when I was given task of trying to find a podcast, you guys were the first ones that popped in my mind. I was like, I don't miss an episode. You guys have a great product. The 3 of you do a great job with the Walleye. And I was like, there's no more perfect spot for me to pop in on than here. So I appreciate you guys having me and doing this for us.
Not a problem. Thank you for coming on and taking some time out of your day for us. So we appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you there on Saturday.
Yeah, sounds good. See you there.
And welcome back again to just us. But dude, I'm so excited for this whole thing. Like these interviews, it's got me hyped up for it. I hope the fans are hyped up. If you're not doing anything that afternoon, come on down to the Huntington Center and check it out. Because like I said before the interviews, if I know anything about these games, they're gonna be fun to watch either way. They put on a show and they go at it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna get a little bit of access from the sound of this, so we'll get to provide some fun elements, whether it be pregame, postgame, maybe like a Pierre Maguire on the bench type interview with a coach, maybe potentially, and then postgame. So, and it's really cool to hear like when Kyle was talking about like how they go in early and set the room up, and it's like they set the whole room up and they got the jerseys hanging and all that. So it is their game 7 for the cup, and you know, it's so cool. I hear my buddy Tyler talk about it. Like I text him like, dude, I'm so jealous you get to play in a game that actually means something. Like I go on Sunday mornings and skate around and just shoot a puck around basically in beer league. And that's my excitement for the week for hockey. And you get to like go out here and go. And he's like, he said in the interview, like he was taking like face off advice from a guy that plays in the Fed that like skates at Tamo weekly, so or used to play the Fed, so it just gives you the insight of like these guys care, and then like at the end of the day they go out and have beer afterwards and have a great time.
Oh yeah, that's always the best part too for them. They get to go out and party afterwards, and I know when Grand Rapids, when they do it, a lot of them attend the Griffins game that night, and they're usually pretty lit by that point in the night. And it's always funny to see. You can always spot the guys that played that afternoon because they're already tripping over themselves. It's fun, man. It's just a great cause. It's a game of hockey that we all love, and it's going to be a good time. And I'm excited to come down there for it. It's a quick turnaround for us to come back to Toledo again, which I have no problem with. I'm super excited for it. At least I don't have to be down there as early this time, so I get a little more sleep. But at the same time, it's and not by much, but it's going to be a super fun day. I'm excited for it. We hope fans can get down there and check it out. And like Travis alluded to, you know, we'll have some extra content and stuff from this that we'll be excited to share with everybody. And it's just going to be another fun weekend in T-Town, man. I'm excited. Plus, you know, the Griffins' past few games, we probably honestly could turn around and do another one with the Griffins with them playing in Texas yesterday and tonight as we're recording this here. But we'll have plenty to talk about with another game from them this weekend too, next week for everybody. And hopefully here be on an actual recording schedule soon, now that Sunday games are done pretty much for Grand Rapids and football's over. So maybe we'll actually have a schedule. I can't believe it. It makes it sound like we have our crap together. We don't.
Well, you guys have this No More Sundays. We still got Sundays down here, so.
Yeah, we'll figure those details out later on. Anyways, though, thank you again to everyone for tuning in. As always, thank you to our sponsors, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. Make sure you head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order and support the show. The folks that are already subscribed and to those that have already subscribed, thank you. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you all again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.